Hi, everybody, and welcome to our week number 3 Twitch live stream for my intro psych class. I can't believe that we're already in the third week of the semester. It feels like it's going so quickly, and it's almost September. Wild to think. But I see a bunch of you joining me, getting your names in the chat. Thank you so much for being here with me this morning. What our plan will be for today, since we're right here, week number 3, I just want to share a couple of quick comments about weeks 1 and 2, some kind of general things that I saw related to your grade, and then we'll obviously focus on this week. So as of Monday morning, we are in weeks 3 and 4. So everything from weeks 3 and 4 is due by September 7th, Sunday, September 7th. But let's go back, let's talk really quickly. I just want to kind of share with you some general things that I saw. For the most part, a lot of you did a beautiful job on the discussions for the first 2 weeks. I saw a lot of great discussion posts, a lot of wonderful exam scores, a lot of really, really good stuff. So just kind of a few general pieces of feedback. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have checked. Can you all hear and see me okay? I'm sure someone would have said it at this point if it wasn't coming through, but is everything coming through okay? You can hear and see me. If someone could let me know in the comments, the chat, that would be super helpful. I don't want you to not be able to hear or see me. Okay, great. All right, thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure before I kept going. I forgot to check with you. Great. Okay, so in the first 4 discussions, so the big things that I saw, if you lost a couple of points, it's typically because you didn't answer as fully as I would have liked you to. Okay, so if you found that you got like 13 or 14 points, if you missed just a point or two, try and give me a little bit more this week when you're doing the discussions. There were also a few people who forgot the peer response, and those are worth 2 points, and they're kind of an easy 2 points, so you want to make sure that you're getting them. But for every discussion, there were kind of little things that I saw. So let's go through those together. For discussion number 1, one big thing that I saw here, just kind of not quite enough on this last bullet. A few people forgot to define nature and nurture. You responded to the quote, but you forgot to define them. A few people also switched them, kind of defining nature as things like the outdoors and trees, which is true, but not necessarily in the context of this class. So with this one, that was the big thing that I saw, just kind of not quite giving me enough on that last bullet, or forgetting to respond to a classmate. For discussion 2, kind of a similar thing. A lot of really interesting research ideas that a lot of you had. I love that. Thank you so much for your creativity. Some of you kind of just didn't quite give me enough in how you would examine your topic. That was kind of the big one that I saw here. What would you specifically do, and kind of how would you get at the questions that you wanted to ask? Or again, forgetting that peer response. So both things being true there. A lot of you did the extra credit for both weeks, which is amazing. Those points are just going to add up and be really helpful for you if you missed a few points somewhere on like an exam or a discussion. For discussion number 3, this one was related to neurons and the 10% myth of the brain. I was looking for some kind of reference to electrochemical communication, right? And so if you didn't mention that term or kind of those two elements, you lost a couple of points there. So again, just make sure that you're always thinking about the questions as like almost like a mini essay, right? Better to give me too much than not enough. And then finally, when it came to discussion number 4, again, overall, really, really nicely done. The big thing here was really describing how smell memories occur, what they are and how they occur. This question right here, I was looking for you to mention like the different processes of like conditioning, the different parts of the brain that are involved. And then a few people kind of said like, oh, well, I can use this knowledge in my life, but I wanted you to give me like a more concrete and specific example. So again, for the most part, what I saw with the discussions the first 2 weeks was a really great job. A lot of you elaborated, you'd had great peer responses, really, really nice job. If you found that you missed a few points, try and give me a little bit more in this next 2-week section of time. In terms of the exam, I also saw a lot of wonderful things. There were several people who got 100%. I wrote it down right here for myself. The high score, the average score was an 87. The average amount of time people took was right around 59 minutes. So what that tells me is most of you had plenty of time for the exam. Most of you were studied, you prepared, you were in a good spot. Use the exam as a learning opportunity. Use your grades from the first 2 weeks as an opportunity to kind of adjust. So if you found that you wish you had done a little better, now is a great time to kind of mix things up. If you're happy with how you did, do the same thing in this next section. So just kind of use them as an opportunity to evaluate where you were at. And you're going to do that formally as part of this little self-assessment this week, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So that was kind of a general feedback from the first 2 weeks. Any like lingering questions or anything from the first 2 weeks of the class? Anything from the past before we move on to now and week number 3? I'll give you just a second to catch up. If you have any questions or comments or thoughts, feel free to put them in the chat. But again, a lot of you should be very, very happy with your scores and grades so far. And if that's the case, keep up the great work. If you wish you had done a little bit better, now is a really good time to kind of evaluate and make a few changes as we go into the next 2 weeks of our class. All right, if you think of anything, put it in there. Otherwise, we started week number 3 on Monday, so that's what I want to talk about today. And then next week when we meet, we'll talk about week number 4. So this week we're looking at consciousness and learning. Right, 2, I think, very interesting topics, interesting in different ways. So as always, you'll want to do 3 things for every chapter. Read the chapter in the ebook, read through the lecture, and watch the lecture video. Okay, so make sure you do all 3 of those. The combination of those things is really going to help you to understand the content and be ready for the exams and discussions and so on. If I give you links or videos or anything like that, click on them, watch them, explore them. Remember that every lecture has those 5 tabs. So summary and objectives, followed by Beyond the Book. This one's got some kind of fun videos of change and inattentional blindness, some sleep tutorial information, a little bit about sleep disorders and so on. In pop culture, lots of movies featuring the topics of consciousness. And as always, if you ever have like a cool example, please feel free to send it to me. The key terms and review, and then application, like dream analysis, dream recall, which is something that will be coming back in our discussion for this week. So that might be kind of a helpful video. So make sure you explore everything, click on all the links, watch all the videos, all of it together. Again, we'll give you kind of a good overview of the topic. So do that for chapter 5 on consciousness and chapter 6 on learning. And then you have 2 discussions, a self-assessment, which I'll talk about, and then a little extra credit opportunity for this live stream. So let's look at the 2 discussions and then we can talk about the other things. Discussion 5 is related to chapter 5, related to consciousness. Someone said the study guide was really helpful. It took me a while to complete, but I felt like it was the act of doing it that helped me prepare. Yes, right. And that's kind of the hope, right? Is that if you go through all of the effort of defining the terms on the study guide, that's what's going to help you to like remember it and learn it. And then you kind of have that as like a safety net during the test. If you forget, you have it, you can reference it. But yes, that is exactly my hope. The act of doing it will help you prepare for the exam. So thank you so much for sharing that. I hope that was the case for a lot of people as well. So discussion 5, as always, you have my instructions followed by my video. You'll see that every time. So this one is all about dreams and consciousness. And I personally find dreams to be super interesting and super like meaningful sometimes. Sometimes they can be really, really random. So make sure you watch my video above. I give you some explanations and tips for how to remember your dreams if that's something you struggle with. And then you're going to read this little dream article. It talks about a couple of different theories of what dreams mean and where they come from. There's also information on that in the textbook. And then you're going to select a dream that you had recently and that you don't mind sharing and still remember with some detail. I would also add that wasn't about me. If it was about me for some reason, pick another one, right? Somebody once shared with me how they like murdered me in a dream, right? If it was about me, pick another one. But briefly describe your dream. And then I want you to explain your dream from 2 different theories that were covered in the article and or the book. In other words, like as you're describing your dream, how would you explain it, interpret it? What does it mean from those different theories? Be sure to describe the theories that you selected in order to receive full credit. So if you pick a theory of like dreams as an extension of waking life, make sure you explain the theory and then connect it as well to your dream. So kind of two pieces there. And then why do you personally think we dream as the second question? So those are the questions that you're answering for this one. Again, make sure you really elaborate. If you cannot remember a dream for the life of you, and sometimes that happens, you can describe an old dream if you remember it. You can have somebody in your life give you a dream. So like a partner, a friend, a sibling, a parent, whoever, you can have them pick a dream and kind of go through their dream and describe it, define it, and all that stuff. So hopefully that gives you some options if you have a hard time remembering your dreams. Don't forget to also reply to a classmate. So let's say you really love what somebody had to say. Only a couple people have responded so far. You can also comment on their post. For discussion number 6, you're looking at learning. So this one, when you click on it, again, as always, you have my instructions, followed by my video, followed by the prompt. So for this one, you're watching a short clip from The Office. There's a great example of classical conditioning in there. I want you to then write about thinking about how the process happens. So thinking about the content from classical conditioning, explain how Jim was able to condition Dwight. I really want you to describe and reference the appropriate terminology. You're going to identify the US, UR, CS, and CR in the clip. And then other than amusing pranks, I want you to describe one way that you could use the concept and process of classical conditioning either on yourself or someone else in your personal, academic, or social life. Make sure that it's classical conditioning. Okay, if you're using like reinforcement or punishment or reward or punishment, that's operant conditioning. So how could you use classical conditioning in your life in some way other than like an amusing prank? So you'll answer that. We have one person who's done that so far. And then don't forget to also reply to a classmate to get those 2 points as well. Okay, so those are your 2 discussions for this week, kind of your normal elements. You also have this little self-assessment right here. And you're going to do a couple of those throughout the class. My goal with this is to give you an opportunity to kind of reflect on what you've done so far. Are you happy with your progress? Do you want to change anything? Just kind of to consider your progress, grades, and approach to the class so far. This is worth 5 points. You have as much time as you need. It's just 5 questions. So it's a little survey. If you could take that, please be honest. I'm not looking for anything in particular, just your honesty. And this is more for you as a chance to be like, am I happy with what I'm doing? Do I want to change anything as we've finished 1/4 of our class? I will, of course, post the recording of this later, a little bit from now, once I've uploaded it and downloaded it. And let me give you the extra credit question and some reminders. If you have any questions for me about this week or the last 2 weeks, this is a great opportunity, good time for you to put them in the chat. Otherwise, a couple of reminders for you. If you haven't figured out the live stream subscription piece, please do that. The Twitch subscription, especially if you're watching this later, remember that you can still get those extra credit points if you are subscribed on Twitch. So those instructions are on Canvas. If you haven't figured it out, I really appreciate those of you who have. It saves me so much time and energy. And we just started soccer yesterday, so now I'm even busier. So if you have the opportunity to figure that out, I really appreciate it. The other reminder, and I'll put this here in the chat for you. I can't believe that next week is September. Our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, September 3rd at 11:45 a.m. Okay, so we will have our live stream next week at 11:45 for week number 4. We'll talk about exam number 2 and week number 4 materials. Let me also give you the extra credit and show you where you can find this and where you can answer it. So the week number 3 Twitch extra credit question for you. There's a little clip in the lecture on learning called The Attack of the Quack. And in that clip for the extra credit, you'll identify the US, UR, CS, and CR. So let me show you where that clip is and how to answer this. So if you're on Canvas and you click on the chapter 6 lecture right here for learning, on the very last page is application. And there's this little video right here called The Attack of the Quack. It's a great little prank of showing this poor little guy getting conditioned when he's brushing his teeth to a sound. So it's only a minute and a half long, but this is the video you're looking for. Again, it's under the chapter 6 lecture on the very last page. And then once you have watched the video and you're ready, and you are ready to do the extra credit, you'll click right here where it says optional Twitch extra credit number 3 under our week number 3 right now. You'll click on start assignment at the top, and then you can type your response. Oh my gosh, my typing is horrible when I talk. Type your response in the box and hit submit. You get your little confetti burst and stars, which are very cute. They have little smiley faces. And remember, you can do this all the way until Sunday, the 7th at 11:59 p.m. So if you're not joining me right now live and you're watching this later, just make sure you're subscribed on Twitch and you can still do this. Or if you're joining me live now, you've covered yourself. But these points will definitely add up, so I hope you take advantage of them. A lot of you did it these first 2 weeks, so keep it up. Okay, so I only went over week number 3 because that's where we are this week. Next week when I meet with you, we will look at week number 4 and the materials for that. But if you have any questions, I will hang out for a little while. You're more than welcome to put them in the chat. I hope you're all staying cool in this very warm weather that we've been having. September next week, right? We are almost to the Burr months. I'm ready for the Burr months. Happy back to schooloween, right? Like I'm definitely ready. But I hope you're all doing great, hanging in there, that you're feeling good about where you're at in the class so far. And that self-assessment, again, your chance to kind of formally reflect on where you're at. Okay, so thank you as well. Thank you. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for all of you who joined me live or even watch this later. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to minimize my video, but I will hang out for a little while if you do have any questions for me. Otherwise, again, thank you all. I'm going to put that in the chat. You're welcome to take off if you are feeling good. If you have any questions or want me to go over anything, I will hang out for a little while if you want to put them in the chat. Otherwise, have a wonderful week. Stay cool. And I will hope to see you all next week for our week number 4 Twitch live stream. Thank you as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Have a great week. Thank you again, everyone. And I am still here. Like I said, if you have any questions. Oh, good. Is there an extra credit? Yes. So I posted it up here. Let me put it again in the chat. It was in the Attack of the Quack video. Identify the US, UR, CS, and CR. And remember that video I just showed you is under the chapter 6 learning lecture. And it's on the very last page where it says application. It's this little video right here. So you're watching the little boy who's brushing his teeth, and you're going to identify the US, UR, CS, and CR. I hope that helps. Of course, you're welcome. And I am still here. If any of you have any questions, I'll hang out for a few more minutes before I kind of close everything up.